The Great War Western Front is an excellent example why First World War team RTS games will never work. I have personally read more posts about players asking for a Total War game set in the First World War than I can count, and I have always disagreed as I felt like that kind of gameplay wouldn't be fun. And after playing the Great War Western Front's demo, I believe that even more strongly. Now, don't get me wrong, the developers of the Great War Western Front at Petroglyph, who I respect enormously for all their work on RTS games, especially Star Wars Empire at War, have done all they could to make this team work in an RTS game. They have divided it in two layers, which played differently, just like we know from Total War and Empire at War, turn-based world map and real-time battles on specific maps. They have added tech research, a system of supply, an intricate trench warfare system, capture points, melee combat, artillery, tanks, air power, and even scout balloons. But despite all these elements coming together, the reality of real-time unit warfare between two lines of trenches just isn't engaging or fun enough. Of course, this is my opinion, and I will give you all the reasons behind it, so feel free to tell me what you think in the comments below. For me, the only real fun I had playing this First World War game is the extremely short time between my units charging out of their trenches, a huge underground pile of TNT blowing up a section of the enemy's line, and my troops rushing in there while artillery suppresses the enemy and tanks zoom into the fray. But this lasts less than a minute, because for some reason the supposedly lumbering piles of steel cross the space between lines in seconds while infantry units jump into enemy trenches or bunkers, and I can only watch their health and morale bars go down because nothing else is happening. I think this part of gameplay should have been slowed down considerably, making everything take longer, soldiers missing shots more often, machine guns jamming, infantry trying to take cover against logic, tanks slowly navigating muddy craters. Yes, there is more for you to do, like send out bomber airplanes to soften up their defenses, use pinpoint artillery on enemy machine gun emplacements, set up rolling artillery shells to cover the advance of your units, but this all happened during the less than a minute long time I was having fun. Now I just stare at the capture point flag, waiting for it to switch to my color, and nothing else is happening. Silence on the front. And this is why I strongly believe First World War gameplay can never be turned into a fun RTS game experience. There is simply not enough happening. There is no base building, no resource collection, no harassment, no going around the edge of the map to snipe some building or important unit. Even if we compare it to Total War real-time battles, and even the old ones which had no flags, no map objectives, the trenches here act as huge barriers preventing fun to be had. Even the movement of units comes to a halt before you have time to appreciate it, while in Total War you would be moving and fighting constantly until the bitter end. The reinforcement system is there to help prolong these battles for objectives and trenches, letting the defender try to counterattack and push out the enemy. I do admit this helps to keep the fight going, to keep the battle engaging, but again, everything is so static. There is so little to see here. There is no joy of zooming into two samurai or knights in armor duking it out in single combat, or cavalry crashing down into a formation and sending men flying. At worst, you end up staring at a concrete block. At best, you watch soldiers drop like flies hit by tiny bullets from tank machine guns. And this is so painful because these are the same developers who built in a cinematic camera into Star Wars Empire at War, where we watched individual TIE fighters trying to lock on to X-Wings, torpedoes striking starships and blowing them apart. So why don't we have something similar here? Point of view of bombs as they drop from the air on cannon placements, first-person view from infantry climbing over trenches, or tanks rolling over barbed wire. I feel this is such a missed opportunity. If we look at it purely as a game, both real-time and turn-based aspects of the Great War Western Front work out great. It has a host of gameplay mechanics, both in real-time battles and on the world map, including spying, scouting and sabotage. It has a proper sense of progression with research, persistent battlefields, and trench-making tools are well done, giving pre-battle preparations meaning. The supply system prevents spam and overuse of call-in strikes, and it requires you to manage new buildings in sectors carefully. The morale and fatigue of frontline troops makes sure you are methodical and slow when planning front breaches, preventing you from rolling over the entire front. The tutorial, however long, explains every single detail you need to know to play it properly. Sounds fit and give you good feedback, and the music creates a great backdrop and feel to it. When I announced this game in my list of upcoming RTS games for 2023, I was hopeful and optimistic about it, and it has proven to be a sound game. But the First World War setting just doesn't have it in it to provide a very fun real-time strategy gameplay. I do hope you will share your thoughts on this in the comments below. Thank you for watching and happy gaming!